Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? I have a message, and this message is something that stemmed from something I was viewing. And God has been telling me, it's been in my spirit, things have been leading me, and I'm writing. I started writing, and I didn't know what to write, and I was writing my life. And I'll be honest and transparent. It's possible that I'm writing, and God gave me the title Broken Pieces, and under the caption Can't Be Mended. And God He can't mend broken pieces. We all are broken in some kind of way. Some of us are broken from our past childhood. Some of us are broken from our marriages and relationships with our friends, our families, our loved ones, our lovers. Some of us are broken from things that we have no control over. Some of us have been broken from molestation, sexual predator, physical abuse, mental, spiritual abuse, mental abuse, the worst abuse. I always say you hit me so physically, mentally abuse me. That abuse is horrific. And through my life, I was being transparent with my husband. I was watching a movie, and it was a movie about a lady and her father, and he was alcoholic, and their relationship was severed, and she despised him. As I was watching it, it was really touching my soul, because I too am a daughter. My mother was an alcoholic and a heroin. And from a time that I can remember, even though like my life was wonderful, all while I grew up, my father was a businessman, number man, and he worked hard, made enough money, and he spoiled me out of this world. And I was a daddy's baby. This is my dad and my mom. Can you see him? Yeah. He was a very dapper man. He had a business. This was our family business, Friendly Fine Foods, growing up. And life was good. Life was real good. And I never knew that there was any dysfunctionalism. I knew my dad and mom went through regular stuff. But in 1964, my dad was shot by a man that owed him money. And I remember it so vividly, like yesterday, that my mom was begging my father not to leave. And he was so adamant, and he had a gun because he was mad. He had been drinking. And he refused for somebody to disrespect him and dishonor him. His pride, his manness, that pride. No one is going to disrespect me or dishonor me. And he went to get his money. In the midst of it, when he got there, the man met him with a gun and shot him, and he became paralyzed. From 1964, my life turned. I went through hell. I mean, like, unbelievable. And it was just horrific. I mean, so horrific that, I saw my mother just drift into alcoholism and drugs. I didn't know about the drugs yet. I knew about the alcohol. And in the midst of that, let me go back a little bit. My dad's friend was like legally blind, sort of. And I used to sit on his lap because he always told me, come sit on his lap. Well, my dad didn't know that this man was molesting me. And he was putting his hand under my dress and told me that if I told my dad that I would get in trouble. Yeah. What it did for me was to tell a little girl, you never tell a man no. Well, that's all you heard. So when my uncle by marriage was molesting me, I thought it was okay. It wasn't okay. And so you grow up thinking that this is what you're supposed to do. God, where family went to church, but there was things that you never talked about. I never told anyone. And I wasn't promiscuous. At the time, I was just trying to find my way. I was broken. My dad was in the hospital. My mother was MIO, missing in action a lot of times. She had a man that was taking care of my dad, which she eventually had a relationship in the house. And he too was trying to do things to me. Thank God for a mother's wit or intuition, because my mother, she felt it no matter what. I didn't tell her. And she told him, if you ever touch my daughter again, I will kill you. I knew that she loved me, but she was broken. And so through that, her addictions, I missed a lot of school. Nobody really knew what I really was going through. I would run away from home and run to my cousin's house because I needed some solace. I needed a breath of fresh air. I just needed some happiness. And I would just look for that. I would look for it in music. I would look for it in anything that was beautiful. My mom, addiction was so great that it caused her to go to a sane asylum. She lost her mind. One day she was, whatever she had, the drug, it messed her up so that she literally thought something was on her, and I walked downstairs and she was naked and she was trying to cut it off with a knife, and she kept telling me, can I see it? And I was trying to look to see it, but I didn't see it. I couldn't see it because there was nothing there, but in her mind it was there. And I got the knife from her and she was telling me to cut it off, and I was acting like I was cutting, trying to get it off of her. But it was nothing there. I recall a time when my mother was when I realized about the drugs. I was in the bathroom one day, and she was in the bathroom, and she was in there a long time, and the door used to be like this, the little hook. And the hook was, on the old-fashioned doors, and so you would open the door with a knife. You would pop it up with a knife in order to get in. And so one day she was in there so long that I had to use the bathroom really, really bad. And I tried to look through the door, but when you push it open enough, you could kind of see her. And it looked like she was like slumped over, and I thought something was wrong with her. So I got a knife and clicked it open and pushed the door open. And then I looked, and she was like this. And it was some aluminum foil and a needle and a spoon and this stuff. And I looked at it and I thought that that was the one that was hurting her. And I grabbed it and I took it and I ran with it, and she came to and she chased me with it, and she chased me for it. And I was on the patio. We had a sun porch from upstairs next to my bedroom, and I opened up the window and I threw it out, and she went after me and she hit me and pushed me so hard because I threw away her drugs. It was many times that I went through a lot with her. And that was, I don't know, it was before or after, but I remember that they had to put her in the sane asylum because she had lost her mind. God does men broken pieces. I didn't know what my life had in store, but through that I went through trying to find myself and broken. My auntie didn't understand me. No one understood what I was going through. Because in 1973, my mother died. And I remember so vividly of me walking in the room, in the living room, and she was laying on the couch, and we had this white rug, this furry rug, and she was spitting up blood. And they called the ambulance, and they came, and needless to say, she didn't want to go, but she went and to the hospital. Well, my dad wasn't at the VA hospital. He was in the room, and I went to him and said, I think Mommy's going to be okay. And I waited, and I laid next to him, and I laid in the next little bed next to his bed. And the next day, we thought that she was gonna be all right. Needless to say, when Joe came in, he told us that he just shook his head, and I didn't know what he meant. But what he meant was she didn't make it. June 1973 was a true eye opener. I was really at that point broken because her and I had been through stuff. I had been through so much with her that I would say sometimes I wish you were dead. And she used to hit me with a plastic bat and run me out the house. And I mean, it was so much hell that I went through with her because of her addiction. Broken pieces. And then when I moved with my aunt came and got me, and I moved in with her. And I wasn't really accepted. My cousin, she didn't want me to be there because there was no room for me. She didn't want me to share her room. I was broken, and nobody even one time asked me how did I feel about what I was going through. And so I expressed it through rebelliousness of not wanting to go to school or not studying or not giving all myself. And all I wanted was somebody to let me know that it was okay, and somebody to tell me they loved me, and somebody to respect me and honor and appreciate me. But I wasn't getting that. I was broken. My body was hurting. I didn't even know it. I was hurting so bad sometimes that my body would hurt. My mental and my emotional effect was affecting my body. And one day I couldn't stand up. And I used to tell my aunt that I was sick, and she didn't believe me. So one day I couldn't really stand all the way up. They rushed me to the hospital, and I was in the hospital 10 days. The doctor couldn't figure out what was wrong with me at 17 years old. And one day he came to my room and sat on my bed, and he said, we did everything we could possibly do, and then we realized, let's do one more thing. And we found out that you had an ulcer, and it comes from stress. What are you being stressed out about, little girl? And I'll never forget that Jewish doctor. He sat beside my bed, and he said, honey, there's nothing in this life worth dying for. Whatever it is, don't let it kill you. And what that did to me was kind of desensitized me. It made me feel like, well, let me not even care. Let me just get everything out of my head. Let me just exist. And so my aunt didn't understand really what I was going through. So needless to say, she put me out. Or I left. I don't know. I can't recall how it worked, but I know that I was rebellious. And even though they thought that I was promiscuous, I was a virgin. I was a virgin and I wanted to keep myself, but my cousin's friend, one night, New Year's Eve, and her friend, they all got together. And he basically raped me. Broken pieces. I'm broken. And didn't nobody know that I was broken. What am I saying? I'm saying that if you're broken, you need to be fixed. You have to find a way to help fix yourself. That's what I'm saying.